Greetings, fellow adventurers. I'm Max with PeakD&D.
And I'm Ben. Welcome to the Peak.
We're here in the Rocky Mountains helping you elevate your game in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons and life.
In this episode of Peaked Interests, we're talking about strategy, tactics, making friends, and using your paintbrush.
So let's roll some initiative and get to it.
This week, we're getting meta.
Fourth wall beat.
Are we still rolling, or? Yes. Oh, all right. Why, hello there. It's me, Asmodeus, Lord of the Ninth, Prince of all Devilkind, and other titles redacted. And thanks to a special arrangement with PeakD&D, I won't tell you which of them sold their souls for it, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm here to tell you about how I decompress after a long day of pulling the souls of mortals from their gasping husks. When I find I need to decompress, I do it with Coco. COCO'S HOLLOW, that is, my favorite cosplayer and streamer on Twitch. There's nothing quite like settling in with a nice bowl of raw cabbage and kale. What, you were expecting delicious food in hell? And watching Coco go and command her minions to do her dark bidding. It's her sinister wits and diabolical charms that touched me. Who do you think sent her those wings? Join her every Thursday through Sunday, 8 to midnight. It's a devilish good time. So commands the mighty Asmodeus. I know I'll be watching.
Max and I wanted to take you behind the scenes, in a sense, this week and show you how we make some of our sweet, delicious PeakD&D sausage. A lot of food analogies.
I'm hungry. Yep, today's conversation touches on tactics, data, strategy, objectives, how to use new information, and the way we approach the game.
And we're going to ask episode 11 of Into the Fae to help us out while we do it.
Our first encounter in the episode was with Ben here's bird buddy.
Yeah, now it'd been a few weeks in real time and at least one in-game time since I'd even talked to my patron.
I think I might have managed to roll well enough to spot him once, but he flew off before we could do anything.
And boy oh boy was he chock full of useful information.
Want me to speak common for their benefit? I mean, I don't...
I think it would answer a lot of their questions. I'm trying to keep
Oh, cool.
them
Hey, how you guys doing?
What the fuck?
The bird just kind of waves at you.
Hey man, thanks for CCing us on that bird call of yours.
No problem. I mean, I figured there might be some important information, and I didn't want Illensworth and Gord to feel left out.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad, because you were right. We literally learned something game-changing that we immediately put into effect.
Queen Below, yeah, have some patronly wisdom. She sucks. Stay away from her. Deal with the Vex Mortem. They are opportunists. The Summer Court used to be Summer Court territory until recently, when a magical city fell on top of another magical city a little way to the north. That just jellied up our jam like you wouldn't believe. And our king and queen are a little bit dead right now. So, the Summer Court's not doing spectacular in this part of the country. If you run across any, Fae that aren't, actively working for the Queen Below, see if you can get them on our side.
Prior to our rendezvous with Robin, we had a very limited understanding and view of the Fae.
Yeah, up until that conversation, every Fae creature we'd encountered, or really even heard about, had some nefarious intent, with the exception of our good friend Goodfellow.
Everything we'd learned had been about how the Vex Mortem was on the rise, on the up and up, and the Summer Court was squashed under a town, on the down and down.
Not only did we learn that the Summer Court wasn't completely destroyed, but also there was a whole subsection of Fae we didn't even know existed. The unaligned.
Yeah, up until that point it had been very black and white. You were either for the Vex Mortem or against them. And here, we come to find out, there was a little more to that story. Previously though, the only strategy we had was fighting them head on.
Here, we learned there was another way we could go. Recruiting.
Goodfellow told us we were going to need allies in this fight, and if we met any undecided voters along the way, we should try and win them over.
I like that. And luckily, we got this new data right in time because the very next encounter was with the satyrs at the meadery.
It's true. Had we not had that conversation with Robin then, what happened next would have very likely been very different.
Indeed. Everything went from being extremely black and white, fey bad, to now, fey good?
To things being a bit more nuanced and gray.
When much like Gord, all the party's got is a melee combat hammer,
Then everything you encounter starts to look like a nail.
especially the wasted satyrs partying in your home/work, behind locked doors during business hours when your family is nowhere to be seen.
We did not see that coming. Did you?
Not at all. Man, I just wanted to sleep in my bed, cook up some delicious dragon, introduce my new friends to my boss.
And instead of sleeping in his bed, it was all locked doors and big old bar tabs.
But because of what your little bird told us, and the fact there was music and revelry, I thought maybe these were some gray fae.
So instead of busting down the door, guns blazing, you decide to do a little investigation.
Yeah, really, there were two reasons for that. One, the winning undecided voters, and two, we were not in the best shape.
No, we were not. It seems that once again we decided to venture forth without taking a long rest.
You think we're ever gonna learn?
No.
We were down hit points, down spell slots, and down special abilities. But the one thing we did have going for us was our charisma.
All three of our characters have a pretty high charisma score. This means talking our way out of situations is a perfectly viable tactic.
Applications such as being outgunned and when you're already beat up.
I'm gonna guess too that the fact that there wasn't any carnage, no signs of a struggle inside the building, that also played into your choice.
Dude, totally. The Honeyguts are my family. You best believe had they been strung up on a spit over a fire, I might not have been in the mood to talk.
But there wasn't, and we were.
Let me take this opportunity to thank you yet again, Ben. This has got to be like the 7th time your choice of being a half-elf has saved our asses.
Well, when we made these characters, I felt a little dirty deciding that Jastian was gonna be a half-elf. I mean, I knew the name of the module was Into the Fae, and Ben knows that Fae like to charm and use sleep a lot. So I figured that having a little built-in plot armor for Jastian might help out.
Hey man, it has, and to me that's just good playing. We're already on hard mode, going through this module with only 3 people. Making good choices is our best chance at success.
That and some luck.
Curse you, Gord.
Thank hell Tony rolled that 1. There's a good chance that even after all of our smooth talking and my not falling asleep, the entire encounter could have gone sideways had Gord hit with that attack.
Dude, no doubt. Yeah, had he hit one of those satyrs, things could have gone much differently.
But luckily for us and the Summer Court, it didn't. We were able to talk our way out of the situation and avoid any unnecessary bloodshed.
And in the process, possibly sway some voters to our side. It was only because we chose to talk that we discovered there was a whole village of satyrs who were undecided.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that getting to Satyr City covered in goat fur and gore and being like, hey, we're with the Summer Court, you want to sign up? Might not be the best first impression.
Yeah, no, probably not. In order to see how this whole satyr situation plays out, you'll have to chill till the next episode.
Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby.
Nice.
Now that we're all on the same page with our source material, let's take a deeper dive, shall we?
Let me start by saying I was thrilled to learn about the possibility of gaining allies for the Summer Court.
Well, you do like making friends with NPCs, don't you, Max?
Absolutely. I have had my ass saved so many times in so many campaigns by the friends I've made along the way, and I'm not talking party members.
Shout out Bayrom. In most D&D games, your main objective is usually pretty lofty. You're gonna try to save the city or save the world, and a lot of times it's way easier to do that with a little help from your friends.
Saving the world ain't something you and your party have to do alone. This is one of the reasons I like having a decent charisma. It gives me another tool.
Now, what do you mean by that?
Like we quipped earlier, when all you've got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, having a decent charisma means you also have a paintbrush.
I see, so having a high charisma score adds another, less destructive tool that you can use to solve your problems.
Exactly. When you or someone in your party has a high charisma, then tactics of diplomacy, mediation, negotiation, and deception become valid.
there's almost like a shift in the overall party play style that happens. Instead of everyone or everything you encounter being seen as a threat to be neutralized, you can instead view them as a potential ally.
Yeah, and if you can talk to them, find out what they want, figure out a way to give it to them, and not kill them, there's a chance they might like you.
And if they're alive, that means they're still on the board and in play, so to speak.
Barring high-level magic or Deus Ex DM Machina, killing is pretty final. Resorting to it means missing out on possibilities in the future.
And usually, the non-violent approach yields more interesting results. It opens the door to avenues other than just XP, loot, and revenge against you and your party of MurderHobos.
Of course, you're not always going to be able to paint, either because of the particulars of your situation or the game you're in.
Some DMs, some parties, and some stories themselves just don't lend themselves to painting.
And sometimes, a hammer is the exact right tool for the job. Combat is not only effective, but fun.
Swinging swords, shooting lasers, rolling dice, and killing stuff are awesome. They're a big part of Dungeons & Dragons.
But not the only part, which is why I was thoroughly thrilled with the Robin reveal.
We received a new piece of data, which opened up a new strategy that we could employ, along with tactics we could use to achieve that objective.
That was kind of a dense sentence. Let's break it down, make it really clear.
Okay. Let's work in reverse, shall we? Start with the word objective. Objectives come in two main flavors: then and now.
Then objectives are your main goals for the campaign. For us and Into the Fae, they are stopping the Vex Mortem and saving Airedale.
Now objectives are the goals you're working toward in the game session or the encounter that you're in. For us, in episode 11, they were getting the satyrs out of the meadery.
Then objectives, barring major plot twists, are usually static. Now objectives constantly change. They're fluid.
Tactics are the actions you choose to take to achieve your objectives.
For us in episode 11, these were skill checks, persuasion, stealth, etc.
Strategy is your general approach. Typically, the strategy you choose will dictate the tactics you decide to use.
Think of strategy as, which tool am I going to pull out and use today?
Now your hammer, that's for fighting, smashing, and killing.
For us, we were trying to make friends and gain allies, so we opted for the paintbrush.
And next, there's data, or the information that you have and know.
Data comes in three varieties: global, local, and personal.
Global data is the what you know about the shape of the world. It's like the climate.
These are your geoplanar forces, your protagonists, antagonists, their motivations, the big picture stuff.
Local data is information concerning your immediate environment. What time of day is it? How many enemies are there? What's the situation?
Lastly, personal data. This is what you know about your party. How beat up are you? What are you good at? What do you suck at? What magic items, potions, and spells do you have left?
So, Jastian, Illinsworth, and Gord run into a bird. This bird offers up two pieces of new global data. The Summer Court can be rebuilt, and there are undecided Fae.
This in turn opens up new strategy. Both friending and fighting are now on the table, so every Fae we meet isn't automatically a nail that needs to be pounded down.
It's like, in addition to Jastian's pine-scented lasers, Robin also gave us our paintbrush.
So we get to the meadery, a new environment complete with new data, and a new now objective of its own.
The data was local. Loud music, the sounds of a party, locked doors during business hours, none of which, according to Illinsworth, made any sense at all.
So my confusion made me want to collect more local data. So I sneak.
So I sneak. Yeah, but I don't know.
Dre and TLC? Nice.
Most of my musical references will be entirely a decade out of date.
And I learned they were satyrs, we were outnumbered, there was no evidence of battle, and my dwarf family was nowhere to be seen.
Now this was all local data Illinsworth found and reported back.
Local data collected, it was time to take stock of our personal data.
And lo and behold, to no one's surprise, we were in rough shape. We were down hit points, we were down spell slots, and not in the best shape for a scrap.
Objective-wise, our then objective was still the same. Save Airedale, stop the Vex Mortem.
But our now objective had changed. We weren't trying to throw a party, we were now trying to figure out how to poop on one.
But since we'd just learned befriending Frey was a viable strategy, and the satyrs seemed more friendly than fighty, it was a drunken party after all, we opted for our paintbrushes.
Now this meant using tactics like our charisma skill checks and our words, which we are good at sometimes to do.
And thanks to a well-timed one, we were able to succeed in a peaceful way, which I'm hoping is the first step toward recruiting the satyrs to the summer court.
All that's left to do is go through the portal in the basement, talk to the mayor of Goat Town, and see if we can't broker some kind of peace.
Then, of course, go find the dwarves and figure out a way to make sure they're not out for blood. Lorbum isn't the most forgiving business dwarf.
So, like 5 things. But if we can manage to do that, we'll have ostensibly have gained 2 allies to our cause, all because we came in waggling words and not swinging swords.
All right, Ben, so takeaways.
Satyrs gonna sate. Okay, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, and you need flies to save the world.
Oh, dude.
I am trying.
Everyone you encounter isn't a foe.
There it is.
Some strangers really are just friends you haven't met yet.
And don't ignore new data, whether global, local, or personal. Just take stock of what you know.
Then use that to choose your best strategy, employ your best tactics, and achieve your now objective.
Relying on just your hammer, your paintbrush, or any other strategy tool too much makes you and the game predictable. And another word for predictable is boring.
Switch it up. As Miyamoto Musashi writes in the Book of the Five Rings, fixation is the way of death. Fluidity is the way of life.
And pay attention to that new data. Choose the strategy and tactics that gives you the best chance to accomplish your now and then objectives.
And remember, eliminating enemies is good. Turning those enemies into friends and unleashing them on your other enemies, better.
Now, it might not always work, but that's okay. It just means it's time to put away your paintbrush and be like Gord and grab that hammer.
Hey, thanks for sticking around and hanging out with us today.
Hopefully, we piqued your interests.
Gave you something to think about to help you elevate your game.
Now let us know in those comments below about the times that NPCs you decided not to kill ended up saving the day, or if there's other strategy tools in your belt that you like to use.
If there's a topic you'd like to see us cover, cast sending.
Drop us a line, there's an email link in the description down below in the doobly-boo.
For more PeakD&D content, roll to hit the subscribe button. Every subscriber is an experience point that brings the channel closer to leveling up.
Make sure to drop those warnings around the notification bell so you don't get skipped and miss your turn.
Check back here every Wednesday and Saturday for more Dungeons & Dragons content.
And help the channel by casting Big B's thumbs up and liking this video. That helps too. Until then, keep on climbing.
And we'll catch you next time up here at the Peak.
It sound right, boy.